Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of Interron Shares, the French auction portal, and we're going to have a look at another auction by Vichy on shares. This is one of the big auction houses. They do lots of different auctions. This particular one is mainly plucked instruments and wind instruments and a few kind of more world music related instruments. There might be a few bowed things, but not so many as the other auctions. There's 341 lots in this auction, so quite a few things. There's also another auction on the day afterwards, on the 5th of November. So this particular auction is on November the 4th. Vichy like to do a few kind of auctions usually in one go. So this one is all of the plucked wind instruments, world music, all that kind of more interesting or more diverse stuff, I should say. So that's on the 4th and 5th of November, but this particular video will be all of the instruments. They're ending on the 4th of November, and then later, maybe in a few days or a week or so, I'll upload the second video, just so it's not all together. So the buyer's premium for this is 24%. That's what's on top of the hammer price. So this auction is based in France. So if you are outside of France or outside of the EU, then bear in mind shipping fees, import, export, CITES, all of that stuff that we mention all the time. And the same if you're in Europe, still kind of charges shipping and in France as well. So just bear that all in mind. So as this is quite a long auction, I think let's kind of move ahead as quickly as possible. There should be some pretty interesting stuff in here. I've not really looked at this auction, so let's just see what we have. So we've got a mandolin made in Catania, standard mandolin there, 30 to 50 euros. A Fidelio Neapolitan mandolin made around 1900, 150 to 200 is the estimate. It's slightly better than the other one. Another Neapolitan style mandolin there with the Noluca label, Miracle, 1890, 100 to 120, not so exciting. German mandolin there, 3 courses. Hess in Klingenthal, 100 to 150. Lombard mandolin by Carlo Albertini Figlio, made in Milan, around 1880. Always quite like these ones. I thought they're a lot more interesting than the normal ones. 200 to 250, needs a bit of work, that one. An English bluegrass banjo made circa 1890 by Daniels, 2 to 300. A Neapolitan mandolin made in Catania around 1890. Let's see, 150 to 200. That's quite a nice vaulted kind of back on that. That's plate tuners, so this is needs a bit of repair. It's not a super high end one, but quite nice vaulting on the back there. Neapolitan 15-string mandolin, Sirenella label, 150 to 200, pretty standard. Electroacoustic mandolin of Spanish manufacturer Vicente Sanchez, 1987, 100 to 150. Milanese mandolin by Fernando del Perugia. Looks like it's had a few restorations, 2 to 300. It's got fairly nice ribs there on the back. A Clavero brand tenor banjo, around 1920, 150 to 200 euros. A curious flat mandolin made by Di Palermo Chiesa. Interesting. Slightly curious looking, 150 to 200. I quite like the what's like violin type scroll there, and obviously the F holes. That's a curious looking mandolin. That very interesting. Neapolitan mandolin by Giuseppe Tolino, around 1890, 150 to 200. French tenor banjo made in Paris around 1930, 100 to 150. Vintage brand resonator mandolin, and 1980, 200 to 300. Tenor banjo there, 50 to 80. French mandola by JTL, 2 to 300. A Gold Town bluegrass banjo, 150 to 200. Another Gold Tone brand banjo ukulele there, 40 to 60, made in China. Another one of the Milanese mandolin by Enrico Rocca, made in 1894, 4 to 500. Interesting. It's not so often that you see so many of these Milanese type mandolins. A Lager bluegrass banjo, made in China, 80 to 100 euros. A Gelas flat mandolin with double soundboard, made around 1966, 150 to 200. Bluegrass banjo, anonymous, 1930s, 150 to 200. Mahogany box for violin cover, 19th century, okay, 50 to 80. Interesting. Instrument in the style of a 6-string mandolin. Okay, that's pretty interesting kind of marquetry there. 100 to 115, curious looking thing. Looks a little bit bizarre on the top, but the back looks interesting. Here's a pochette, label of Johannes Franciscus Chilinaus, first half of the 19th century there. 4 to 600 is the estimate. Curious looking thing. There are a lot of people that collect these pochettes, quite popular. Another one here with a label for Laurentius Storioni, 3 to 400 there. So very popular things. Another one here, they're saying it's a hobbyist pochette. Quite an interesting interesting layout there, an interesting scroll. 150 to 200. It's quite impressive that they managed to make a scroll that big, that small even. Amateur work here is another kind of dance masters kind of fiddle type thing. Mute violin here, 2 to 300. Always interesting, these Vichy Auctions. Half-size cello, rounded sides, iron mark for Viome. That's pretty mad, 2 to 300. Wow, that is quite an impressive scroll actually. Quite like that. I think that is quite interesting. Portuguese guitar there, 150 to 200. Looks fairly modern. A Loud, made by Carlos Perez from Nonclars, circa 1970, 150 to 200. Miniature guitar made circa 1930 in the style of Ramirez, 300 to 400. Interesting little thing. A Portuguese guitar from 1950, 150 to 200. 6-string Theorbode guitar made circa 1900, lemon wood body, 150 to 200. This almost looks like some of the Swedish kind of instruments, and look very similar to this. Guitar inspired by the vihuela of the Jacquemart-André Museum by Carlos Perez, around 1970, 500 to 700. German lute guitar made around 1900, 80 to 100. This is one of my least favourite instruments, as you'll probably know. Romantic style 9-string instrument made in 1936 in Amsterdam, sold as is, 150 to 200. Curious choice of top for that instrument. Copy of a 6-course viola by Marcus Mevison, 1980, 2 to 300. PV brand lap steel power slide model, 80 to 100. Lyre guitar inscribed Restgern Bern, 1896. It's got the kind of almost Portuguese style tuners there, 4 to 600. Interesting enough, there are definitely people that collect those. Lute with 13 courses, label Jean-Pierre Guez, Paris 1983, 2 to 300. Hollow body electric guitar brand Vantage model, 200 to 250. Spanish guitar made around 1970 with the label of Vincent Gueno, 150 to 200. A few more pictures there. Spanish guitar in the style of Valencia work, made around 1890, 3 to 500. Classical guitar by Miguel Gonzalez Abad, made in Almeria in 1971, 3 to 500. A Bassato jazz guitar, 800 to 1000. And onwards. More guitars. Classical guitar with Dolores Marin label, 100 to 150. Yamaha FG335 folk guitar, 100 to 120. That's a German romantic guitar with the label Leon Mugino, as is. Needs a bit of repair. That 100 to 120. Not the nicest example. Student classical guitar by Jose Masamas, 100 to 120. Jazz guitar with oval mouth with a Paul Boucher label, 100 to 200, sorry, 150 to 200. Jazz guitar by Antoine de Moro, 3 to 350. Solid body electric in the style of a Strat, 1970, 80 to 120. Meyer solid body electric guitar made in Japan, 50 to 80. A 6-brand travel guitar model TG1, 80 to 120. Hohner brand acoustic guitar, 50 to 80. Solid body electric bass guitar brand Egmont. Hawaiian guitar made around 1930, 150 to 200. The Portuguese guitar there, saying deformed at top, 50 to 80. An Alhambra classical guitar, 50 to 80. Stella brand 11-string guitar, 150 to 200. Guitar with an A. Galano label, around 1960. Interesting looking. A metal string guitar made around circa 1930, 30 to 50. Hollywood brand solid body electric bass guitar, 100 to 150. Classical guitar by Miguel Angel, 80 to 120. Gold tone resonator guitar, Paul E. Beard, 150 to 200. Popular Italian guitar, okay, needs to be restored, 70 to 80. Guitar by Julius Heinrich Zimmermann, early 20th century, 100 to 150. Pretty standard. The Key brand solid body electric guitar made in the USA, 100 to 150. think it's meant to say K rather than key. I was wondering what was going on there. Egram brand solid body electric guitar, sold as is, 100 to 150. That's quite cool. Contrabass acoustic guitar, circa 1960, 100 to 120. That's kind of fairly unusual. Solid body electric guitar, Eastern Europe, 50 to 80. It's a Dynelectron brand copy of Dan Electro, 150 to 200. Dulcimer brand solid body, another solid body from Japan, 80 to 100. Guitar made in Catania around 1900, 50 to 80. Child's guitar with tiki decor, 30 to 50. 12-string folk guitar, Stella one again. Cat Electro electric guitar zither in the spirit of Dan Electro, 2 to 300. That's interesting. Hollow body bass guitar from Clearer, made in Germany around 1970. Interesting take on the violin bass, 150 to 200. Another one of these Golden resonators, 150 to 200. Baritone acoustic guitar by Salvador Cortez, 2 to 300. Electric guitar in the Telecaster style from Van Hal, 80 to 120. Solid body electric bass guitar made in Japan, 100 to 150. Electroacoustic bass guitar by Antonio Cavallo, 200 to 300. Another one of these gold tone resonators. Well, that's a whole load of them, 150 to 200. That was the round neck model, that one. A Hawaiian guitar made in Miyako around 1930, 150 to 200. A romantic guitar bearing a label of Lacotte, 3 to 500. Definitely not the quality of Lacotte. Looks like a fairly generic one. Romantic guitar with the iron mark of Jaberna, made in Turin, first of the 19th century, 3 to 500. Interesting work on the back, but it doesn't look super fancy. Guitar attributed to Rudolph, made in Miyako around 1820, 2 to 300 for that. Guitar by Matthias Simon, made in Mittenwald around 1906, so-called Viennese, 5 to 600. Folk guitar, model D10B, that's meant to say Washburn. Hawaiian style metal string guitar with Monzino iron mark, made in Milan around 1930. It's interesting, it's got the kind of Stauffer-esque headstock there, 150 to 200. Munich style guitar made around 1900, 3 to 400. This is fairly generic. Jazz guitar by Luis Paternotte, 150 to 200. Anonymous classical guitar, 3 to 400. And the German-made guitar around 1900, 80 to 100. Nasty crack on the back. Concept guitar, early 19th century, Italy, broken top, 3 to 500. This is kind of interesting, actually. What's kind of going on here? If that is actually original with like a fan fretting, I'm not entirely convinced, but I think someone's messed around with that. But it's fairly interesting. It's probably going to catch someone's attention on that. Guitar by Johann Harner, 1931, 2 to 300. So it's pretty standard. Classical guitar by Daniel Leseur from 1975, 4 to 500. There's actually quite a few pictures on that. I'm not sure if they're really all that exciting. Not especially. Classical guitar attributed to David Enessa, circa 1940, 7 to 800 is the estimate. Asian-made hollow body electric guitar, 150 to 200. Ronette, France, a microphone, 70 to 80. Long-necked Afghan lute tambour, 30 to 50. It's quite a nice looking item, that. Balalaika, made by Carlos Perez, 1970, 100 to 150. An old balalaika, 6 strings, 100 to 120. Balalaika broken head to be restored, 30 to 50. Balalaika as is, 30. Mute violin, 100 is the estimate. Interesting looking one. Indian sarangi, 2 even, 100 to 150. A beautiful dulcimer by Perez, 100 to 150. This looks like a kind of epinette de Vosges type thing. 80 to 100 there by Lambert. Another one here, branded Lambert again. Interesting. 60 to 80. Okay, here we have an oud by Georges Gamil, Cairo. It's an Egyptian oud here. See if we... Oh, yeah. There's the picture. This is kind of interesting because a lot of the oud makers did this. They put a picture of themselves in the instrument. So that's quite curious. Another oud 1991, as is, broken head. That one not so exciting. An Arabic lute, as is, 150. Arabic lute, as is, 150. Old oud, very damaged, sold as is, 100 to start. Another oud here, mint condition, 150. And another oud here, 150. Most of these are not particularly exciting. It's an Afghan rebab, 100 to 120. I think this is the precursor to the sarod, which is kind of basically like a guitar. The sarod has a aluminium fingerboard, where I think the rebab is still wood. 2 chromatic harmonicas, 50 to 80. Musical saw and bow, 80 to 100. Bow might be interesting. Chinese bamboo flute, 30 to 50. A lot of miniature Asian instruments, 50 to 80, 60 even. Chromatic harmonica in C by Hohner. A melodica by Hohner, 20 euros there. A Stradivox phonograph, 100 to 150. It's a drum topeng dance theatre, Bali, Indonesia, 30 to 50. That's pretty cool. I think we pressed the wrong thing there. That's a very curious looking thing. A lot of 2 dance and divination rattles from Fang, Gabon, 30 to 50. 5-string Kundi harp from Zande, Central Africa. And then Dundu, slit drum from Mangbetu, DR Congo. Lot of sound objects from Cameroon, Bamoun and Chamba, mid 20th century, 30 to 50. An alligator oboe of Hausa herders, pastoralists, Hausa Niger, mid 20th century. Interesting looking instrument there, 60 to 80. Sanza with 8 tongues, Chokwa, Angola, mid 20th century. Sanza, Likumba, by Lega, Burundi, Rwanda, DRC, 50 to 80. Lot of 3 hunting flutes, Nuna, Bois, Lobi, Burkina Faso, 60 to 80. A Pliao drum, Senufu, Ivory Coast, mid 20th century, 50 to 80. A rare large Sato harp with 5 strings, Nungbaka, DR Congo, loop of Ubangui, 150 to 200. Large anthropomorphic 5-string harp, musical instrument and a prestigious statue. It's a very interesting looking item there. That's really quite cool. 150 to 200. That's very nice. I do like that this Vichy auction has some really interesting kind of world musical instruments. Timber drum, Baga, Guinea, first half of the 20th century, 150 to 200. African percussion ensemble including 3 bells, Brazil, Burkina Faso, Karingan Doctor blade on a bass. There's stuff from the Chokwe, Angola as well, so a real mixture of things there, 30 to 50. Some more Epinette de Vosges here. 50 is the estimate. Interesting, a set of 27 bells for orchestra with mallet. That's quite a cool lot. 100 euros there. 3 traditional percussion drums, bongos, maracas, 80 there. Mute keyboard, 3 octaves, Chaplin Co. London, 80 on that. Swiss Imperial drum, another marching drum, 100 on that. Set of 2 drums including Swiss Imperial drum, 80 to 100. Instrument made by Philippe Bern, Zunguran model 2013, 3 to 350. Rare labelled sound level meter with weights, interesting, 80 to 100. Cora as is, 80 on that. It's nice looking Cora there. English concertina by Louis Lacanal, cracks, gaps in original hexagonal box, 100 to 150. I'm sure if the English people see that, that will sell pretty well. Chromatic bandoneon there by Alfred Arnold, 150 to 200. Chromatic accordion piano by Hohner, 60. Chromatic button accordion by Fratelli Crozio, 150 to 200. Scandali chromatic accordion, 150 to 200. A romantic accordion around 1850, 150 to 200. A set comprising of accordion, German diatonic, a row, 2 basses and a harmony flute. Interesting. 50 to 80. So a lot of accordions in this auction. Verini chromatic accordion. Large Italian chromatic accordion by V. Vezzoli. Cavagnolo chromatic accordion, 200 to 250. Diatonic accordion from Marinucci Iridio, 50 to 60. Scandali chromatic accordion, 2 to 250. Diatonic accordion by Paolo Soprani in Castelfidardo, 50 to 80. Small Paolo Soprani chromatic accordion, 100 to 150. Small chromatic accordion, piano keys, 100 to 120. Chromatic accordion by Hona, 150 to 200. Italian Pearl d'Or chromatic accordion, 300. Chromatic accordion piano keys by Frontellini, 150 to 200. Chromatic accordion by Maugin, 80 to 100. Looks like we are on to Hurdy-Gurdys or Ville Rose. This is Andre Barbin, 2 to 250. Let's see, we probably get a bit more. That's the head. It's a flat Hurdy-Gurdy, 3 strings. Interesting, 5 to 600 there. It's another Andre Barber, 200 to 250. Another Barber one there, 200 to 250. Contemporary Hurdy-Gurdy there by Barber, 200 to 250. Two forms of Hurdy-Gurdys. Interesting. Looks more like a kind of looped forms than Hurdy-Gurdy to me, but I could be wrong, I'm sure. Peugeot round Hurdy-Gurdy in Gensat, 5 to 600. I guess they are similar backs, so makes sense. Round type Hurdy-Gurdy with inscription on the keyboard Gamundo, 5 to 600. Who is a spectacular flat Hurdy-Gurdy by Raymond Chance, 700 to 800. Certainly quite decorative. Nigu Hurdy-Gurdy, 5 to 600. Hurdy-Gurdy by Puget, 5 to 600. Hurdy-Gurdy stamped Tixier, 5 to 600. And we're out of the Hurdy-Gurdys. Northumbrian small pipes there, 5 to 600. Interesting Northumbrian boxwood small pipes, 5 to 700. Northumbrian small pipes by Burley, 3 to 400. Another Northumbrian small pipes by Burley, 5 to 700. Bombarding Grenadier, 80 on that. Looks like some documents and other things there. Some more kind of books and scores and things like that. Not so interesting for us. Box of clarinet accessories here, 50 on that. Grenadier piccolo there, Boehm system. Gemenhardt, 80 there. Grenadier Flageolet, 5 nickel keys stamped with a Margaritat stamp, 80 on that. Silver plated piccolo, Libret, 100 to 150. Ebony Flageolet, stamped Heroir, 80 on that. Piccolo in ebonite, Yamaha, 100 to 200. Lot of 2 garnets in Grenadier, 150. Tinted boxwood piccolo stamped Vinen, 100. Grenadier Flageolet there, JTL, 150 on that. Cornemuse in light wood stamped Moek, 50 on that. Boxwood Flageolet with horn rings, 80 on that. Grenadier piccolo there, stamped HTA, 50 on that. Rosewood Flageolet, 80 on that. Rosewood Fife, 30 on that. Plastic tenor flute in C, Toeman, 10 on that. It's just not sure what's even in that auction, to be honest. Grenadier flute, 6 keys silver plated, 50 on that. Another ebony flute there, contemporary manufacturer, stamp BW Duvin, 500 to 600. So Grenadier flute there, Thibouville Beranger, 50 on that. Lot of 2 flutes there, Thibouville, 50 on that. So Grenadier flute there, 50. Another Grenadier flute there, stamped Noblet and Thibouville Lamy, 30 on that one. Grenadier flute with cylindrical bore, stamped Bertling in New York, 2 to 300. Third flute in Grenadier, stamped Hallery, 60 on that. Silver plated flute, stamped Trevor G. James, 100 to 150. Box containing 2 piccolo flutes in Grenadier, and ebony Bohm system, one by LeBlanc, another Paul Buscher, 2 to 300. Flute in silver plated metal by GATL, 60 to 80. Grenadier flute, stamped Guatreau, 60. Grenadier flute, stamped Lecomte, 50 on that. Grenadier flute there, 40. Conical flute, stamped Cousineau and Compagnie, 100 to 150. Grenadier flute there, stamped Martin, 40. Silver plated flute, Bohm system, stamped Lebret, 2 to 300. Grenadier flute, stamped GATL, 80 on that. Silver plated flute, stamped Vern Q Powell, 2 to 300. Silver plated flute, stamped Pelisson, 80 to 90. Nickel flute with cylindrical bore, 80 on that. Grenadier flute, stamped Margarita, 150. Grenadier flute, 60. Tenor recorder in C, stamped Atlas, 40 on that. Silver plated flute, Trevor G. James, 100 to 150. Cylindrical flute in Grenadier, Ruddle and Cart, 2 to 250. Grenadier clarinet, stamped Buffet Crampon, 80 to 100. Grenadier clarinet, stamped Selma, 150. B flat clarinet by Pedler Elkhart, 80 to 100. B flat clarinet in boxwood, 400 to 500. B flat clarinet HN White Cleveland, 150 to 200. Boxwood clarinet in the C by Thibodeau Lamy, 80 on that. B flat clarinet in boxwood with a Noble label. So moving on, I think, to the next page. Let's see what we've got here. Looks like a few more clarinets. Boxwood clarinet here, stamped Juve, 180 to 200. Boxwood clarinet in C, stamped L'Oreal, 300 to 500. B flat boxwood clarinet, stamped Claire Belizaire, 200. B flat clarinet in tinted boxwood, stamped Thibodeau Buffet. It's another kind of clarinet along with that. Clarinet in A, boxwood, stamped Noble, 2 to 300. It's a Taragato in blackened wood, 400 to 450. B flat clarinet in boxwood, stamped L'Oreal, 5 to 600. Leather clarinet box here, 30 on that. Grenadier oboe there by Sieur Robert in Paris, 100 to 200. Another Grenadier oboe stamped Martel, 80 on that. Grenadier oboe stamped Dolnet Lefebvre, 120 to 160. Tinted boxwood oboe stamped on all bodies Laurie, 3 to 400. And a soprano saxophone there, Adolphi sax, 200 on that. Another soprano saxophone, stamped Weltklang, 100 to 120. Varnish brass alto saxophone, stamped Stag, 100 to 120. Soprano saxophone, stamped B&S Mark de Kirkin, 80 on that. Soprano saxophone with a Dolnet engraving, 150. Selma soprano saxophone mouthpiece, 30. Alto saxophone there, stamped King, 120 on that. Alto saxophone stamped Prima J Grass, 150. Varnished brass alto saxophone stamped Yamaha, 3 to 400. Silver plated alto saxophone stamped Lyrist, 100 on that. Alto saxophone stamped Dolnet, 100 to 150. Silver plated saxophone stamped Kuzno, 100 on that. Alto saxophone stamped Dolnet. Alto saxophone stamped Roman Dubois, 100 on that. Alto saxophone stamped Cousineau, that was 80, was the estimate on that. Varnish brass alto saxophone stamped Evette Buffet Crampon, 3 to 500. Alto saxophone in silver metal stamped Cousineau, 150 on that. Saxophone in silver metal stamped Strasser Marigot Lemaire, 100 on that. Saxophone in varnish brass alto saxophone stamped Velklang, 150 to 200. Tenor saxophone stamped Cousineau, 80 to 100. Tenor saxophone stamped the Cousineau and C, 50 on that. Brass baritone saxophone B, low and double octave by Buffet and Crampon, Evette and Schaefer, 250 to 300. Tenor saxophone stamped Dulnet, 100 to 150. Red lacquered baritone saxophone with dragon motif stamped 200 East Star, 3 to 400. Varnish brass baritone saxophone with low A stamped Velklang, 150. We've got some mouthpieces stamped Berglersen, 30 on that. Set of super tenor saxophone necks, 30 to 50. Saxophone mouthpieces there, 60 to 80. Some more mouthpieces, 100. More mouthpieces there, 60. Some more here for 60. Back onto some other instruments now. Lot of 2 Chalmé basses, including one with 4 bells, 2 valves, to be revised on 1 to 8 bells, 3 pistons stamped A Martin. The beak is missing, 80 on that. That's definitely quite curious. A trumpet with 3 valves and 2 transposition barrels, CBBA small bore, stamped Cousineau, 150 to 200. Gold-plated brass 3-valve cornet, stamped CG Con, 100 to 200. Cornet with brass valves, stamped Antoine Courtois, 100 on that. The trumpet with 3 valves and silvered brass stamped HBJ USA, 300 on that. On to the next page here. Long 3-piston cornet stamped Boozy & Co, 120 on that. Cornet with 3 valves stamped Con, 300 on that. Cornet with 3 valves stamped Heath Standard, 100 to 150 on that. Lot of 2 trumpets there, 1 Courtois Gaudet and 1 Cousineau, 120. Trumpet with 3 valves stamped Bundy USA, 100 on that. Cornet engraved Columba, 100 to 150. Cornet with 3 valves in silver metal, 100 to 150. Trumpet with 3 valves, stamped Selma, 250. Trumpet with 3 valves, stamped Cousineau, 150. Small 3-valve trumpet from Selma, 80 to 100. Trumpet with 3 valves and silver-plated brass, stamped Holton & Co, 400 on that. Trumpet with 3 valves, CG Con, 4 to 500. Cornet with 3 valves, stamped Boston, 150 to 200. Swiss trumpet in B flat, stamped A Kupferschmidt, made in Bern, 100 on that. Trumpet stamped Graz, 120 to 150. Trumpet with 3 valves, stamped Selma, 100 to 200 even, sorry. It's interesting. Cornet with 4 valves and 2 barrels with silver metal echo, stamped Adolphi Sax, 150 to 200. That's a interesting one. Trumpet with 3 valves, stamped Louis Augu in Bourges, 30 to 50. Cornet with 3 staggered Stossel valves with E-tone in brass, stamped Husson Duchesne, 200. Lot comprising a decorative straight trumpet and a hunting trumpet. Anonymous 2 bugles, including one from Cousineau and a trumpet from Cousineau. Interesting. It's 80 euros on this. Is that that's it? Just showing you those 2 pictures, but there's lots of other stuff apparently. French horn here by Velclan, 80 to 100. French horn with 3 pistons, stamped Raoul Millereau, 50 on that. Trumpet stamped Perrinet, 100 on that. Light hunting horn, stamped Cousineau, 150 on that. Alto trombone with 3 pistons, stamped Millereau, 100 on that. French horn with 3 valves, 100 on that. Cornet with silver plated valves, stamped Cousineau, 60 on that. Trombone with 3 pistons, stamped Millereau. Trombone in B flat with an Anton Courtois stamp, 50 on that. Slide trombone in silver metal, stamped Courtois, 80 on that. Set of 5 instruments, including 3 valve flugelhorn, 3 valve cornet, 2 trumpets, stamped Cousineau, and a Graz flugelhorn, 100 on that. We get to see a few pictures of the other items there. 100 there. Flugelhorn in B flat, stamped Antoine Courtois, 150. Alto saxophone, even, 100 to 120. Sax horn, alto sax horn. A lot of 2 sax horns, including 3 piston baritone sax horn, stamped Falber, and a baritone sax horn stamped Hirsbrunner, 50 on that. A lot of 2 sax horns. I think it's actually what we've just seen. Of getting so many horns that I'm a bit lost. Set of 16 mouthpieces, some more mouthpieces, tuba mouthpieces, Dillon euphonium mouthpieces, some cello bits here, cello end pins, some other bridges and things like that, 30 to 50. Selma saxophone mouthpiece, some silver plated tuba mouthpieces, old mouthpieces, more other mouthpieces here, see a lot of that. So a lot of 4 sax horns, including 2 sax horns, 1 in C/B flat, stamped Cousineau, seem to be the majority of these things, and Graz as well, 120 on that. Trumpet pavilion stamped Perrine Francois, transformed into a gramophone pavilion. Interesting. 20 on that. On to the final page, I think. Okay. Contra bass tuba with 3 pistons, stamped Boozian Hawks, 80 to 100. Contrabass tuba in silver, stamped Besson, 80 to 100. Brass double bass sax horn, stamped Graz, 150. Brass helicon, resoldered vocal bumps, corrosion to bores, to be revised, 150 on that. And last one here is a carved wooden panel representing music trophies, including violin, oboe, castanet, signed lower right, JP, 80 to 100. Very interesting. Well, there we go. This is the Vichy auction, which is ending on the 4th of November 2022, which is kind of guitars, woodwind, brass, world musical instruments. So a lot of, some interesting lots in this auction, definitely. A lot of brass and woodwind as well, so if you're into that, then this will be your kind of auction. So thanks a lot for watching, as always. I'll put a link in the description that you can check out yourself, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.